This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by All-Star Vacation Homes, and your next trip to Walt Disney World, why not have a lot of space, lots of great amenities, and for a fraction of the price of trying to get all that almost anywhere else. All-Star Vacation Homes provides you with lots of amenities like your own private pool, like your own full kitchen, game room, movie theater, and everybody gets their own bedrooms, own bathrooms for every bedroom. You know, these are just lots of the great amenities you get at a typical All-Star Vacation Home. And again, for a fraction of the price. Check them out online. Visit them at www.allstarvacationhomes.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, September 11th, 2009, and this is episode 616 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudiosCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. How are you, Mike?
Man, I can't wait till our next trip at an All-Star Vacation Home.
Oh man, I've been craving a little movie theater, a little private pool action.
We have the best time when we're down there. It's fantastic. I can't wait.
Great. I never had so much fun outside of Walt Disney World before.
Yeah, you don't want to go?
It's true. It's like, you guys want to go to the Magic Kingdom? Nah.
I'm with you on that.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
And Matt, when you're at the All-Star Vacation Homes, in case of a loss of cabin pressure, use your axe.
Case of loss. What ride gives you an axe in Walt Disney World? I'm totally missing that one.
In case of a loss of cabin pressure, use your axe.
Oh, Timekeeper.
Timekeeper. I had to do the Robin Williams.
Actually, it did help, so thank you.
That was Robin Williams? At least when Mike and I were singing the WKRP in Cincinnati theme song before the show, you knew what it was.
Baby.
If you've ever wondered.
I think he's got a cold then. He sounds terrible.
Anyway, also joining us on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. How are you, Len?
Good, Matt, and I will be wishing for an All-Star Vacation Home when I am camping in Fort Wilderness on my next trip.
Oh, you're going to love it.
It's going to be totally awesome. I'm going to rock. But I think after my third night on the ground, I feel like, you know what I could use right now? A bed.
Sheets. A pillow.
Hot shower.
Walls.
Walls. something to keep the bugs out.
Well, on today's show, it's appropriately enough we mentioned Fort Wilderness because we're going to be talking about the Segway tours. There's actually two Segway tours, one at Fort Wilderness and one at World Showcase. And Mr. Testa took the Segway tour around Epcot, and Mr. Newell has done the Segway tour at Fort Wilderness. And Scopa, you and I have not done one, correct?
That is correct, Matt, although I do claim to live 10 miles from the guy who invented the Segway, so ha.
Well, that means nothing, but okay.
Yeah.
And
so let's start.
Sure.
Let me start here before we even talk about the actual tours themselves. Len, when you heard about, well, actually, I'm going to ask Newell because I think I know your answer, Len. It's not because you have to do it for the guide more so than I'm sure you had an interest in it also. But Newell, when you first heard about a Segway tour, what drew you to the Segway tour? And was there something particular that made you? Did you always want to ride a Segway? Did you hear good things about it?
That was just it. I just wanted to try it. I've always seen we have them in Central Park here in Manhattan. You'll see the police ride around with them from time to time. Mm-hmm. It just looks like a lot of fun. So I really just wanted to experience just to ride it, just to say that I actually ridden one. That was the original reason why I went.
And Len, I'm sure the guidebook factored into it somewhat, but did you have an inclination to try it out yourself as well?
Yeah, it was. I was looking for a birthday present for my sister. And
you bought yourself a tour?
Well, I bought both of us a tour because we're twins and we were going to Disney World for our birthday. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
But we had done so many other things. I mean, just a nice restaurant meal or admission or a room upgrade. That wasn't we've had characters before, so we really need to do something that we hadn't done before. So the Segway tour was pretty cool. Plus, Epcot is our favorite park. So.
Okay, well, let's start with the Epcot one, Len, and that they have Segway tours daily at 7:45 a.m., 8:30 a.m., 9 o'clock a.m., 9:30 a.m. The tour is about 2 hours long.
Yep.
It's $95 per person, although there is discounts for annual pass, AAA, DVC, Disney Visa. You have to be 16. You need a signature from a parent or guardian if you're 16 to 17, and you have to weigh less than 250 pounds. So
all of which I was. So that's cool.
that works out.
Here's the thing: it's a 15% discount for most of those criteria annual pass holders,
Yep.
which I neglected to remember when I booked the tour. So that was like,
Oh, noes.
I know, oh no, is exactly like between $50 and $60 that I lost right there.
Oof.
Yeah, that hurt. But everyone was really cool. I did the 745 tour. I was told that usually the ones in the morning up until the park opens are usually fairly crowded. But the day that I was there, we were the only 2 people.
And that.
That worked out really well.
Oh, cool. So now take us through it a little bit. I mean, where did you meet? What was the tip? How did the tour progress exactly?
They actually look for you when you're outside. They told us to go to the same entrance as the Princess Character Breakfast in Epcot, so far left
All right,
turnstile.
745,
And our trainer whizzed up on a Segway and mentioned something to one of the cast members at the turnstile, saying, we were pretty close to the turnstile, so he said, looking for 2 people today who are booked Segway tours. If anyone's told you that, point them out to me. And as soon as we saw him talking, we kind of overheard what he was saying. We went up and said, we're the 2 people. So we actually got to go into the park a little bit early. Mm-hmm. I was the first person in Epcot that day. Woo! Which worked out really well. And then we walked to Innovations West, where they do the training stuff. Actually, we walked back. So first thing we did was walk back to guest relations, where I had to sign my life away in a waiver. You know how that goes, right?
Yep.
So it's if you die or kill someone or anything like that.
We make all our guests sign those before they come on the podcast.
Exactly. There's a whole thing about how the ground is uneven in World Showcase, and you could be going through narrow passageways, and they explain to you what the Segway was. Like, apparently people sign up for it and don't know what it is because they're like, it's a 2-wheeled motorized vehicle that can travel at speeds of up to 12 miles an hour. Like, so you're going to get on it, who signs up for something that not knowing what it is? It's kind of funny. So I explained it, and then from there we went over to Innovations West and did the training. Now, the training was pretty cool because there was only 2 of us, Linda and I. We had never. I'd been on a Segway like for 5 minutes once before. Linda had never been on one. But they show you everything from how to turn it on to what the dials mean. We spent about 25 minutes going through the orientation.
How long did it take you to really, get the hang of it?
Oh, like 10 minutes tops. So if you actually walk through Innovations West, you can see the course that they make everyone go through. So there's they have a little cone course with little slaloms that you go through, and then there's a ramp that you go up and down. And at various points, they'll place like a 2x4 on the road. Yeah, traffic stops, exactly. Yeah, they'll actually tackle you to see if they'll make you get on and off at a moment's notice. They'll give you breathalyzer tests, and
Do they let you do wheelies?
no, they did let us go backwards on it though, briefly, and it was pretty thorough. I was comfortable with it about 10 or 15 minutes.
What about you, Newell? How long did you get the hang of it right away?
The first time I went, it took a little longer because you're so afraid that you're going to fall.
Yeah.
So you're so afraid that you're going to lose your balance. So once you get over that fear, it's really, really relatively easy. It's just that initial, holy crap, I'm not going to fall. Once I got past that, I was fine.
Okay. All right. So Len, you did the orientation and then they took you out?
Yeah, so I think I said this on the on when I was just giving the trip report before. So the interesting thing was Linda had never been on before. They're taking us out through Innovations West, and like the sliding doors open when you get close.
Yep.
Linda apparently took that as the starter's gun, and she flew out of and so our 2 there were 2 cast members and 2 of us, and so there's 1 cast member in the front, 1 cast member in the back, and Linda and I in the middle. Linda just decides she's going to pull out to the right and pass everyone, and she's like headed towards the fence that separates. There's that little stream, but before you get to the land pavilion.
Uh-huh.
She's headed right for that, and the guy's like, "Okay, pull back. Okay, pull back. Okay, pull back." And eventually, she kind of veered off to the left and said, "Oh, okay, I got that out of my system. It's all cool now." So then we got back in line, and they took us all around. We got to go a little bit around Future World, and then we headed for World Showcase, and we went in and out of every single pavilion except for Norway, because they were doing the Princess Breakfast, and they didn't want us to have to encounter pedestrians right off the bat.
Right.
But we went through a little bit into the that side entrance into Mexico, We went all through Norway. Sorry, not Norway. China. We went. We actually went up and down the ramp, even though it's really narrow. In the front.
Right.
And we went past all the pillars. And one of the guys was pretty cool. He was like, "This is the temple of the Golden Harvest or whatever, and it's designed to do this." And inside we have. And so I was like going along with the script. Inside we've got a film called Reflections of China. And it tells about dancing you people, and he's like, hey, do you just want to do this for me, and I can sit back and funny.
So you go around World Showcase, and the whole thing. I mean, from start, including the training, it's about 2 hours.
It was 2 hours, and it was pretty prompt. We actually got to stay about 5 minutes longer. So we actually saw the next group coming into World Showcase as we were leaving.
Okay,
but it was super fun though. I mean, the cast members were great. The equipment's all in really good shape. The course is fabulous. We got to go up and down through Japan. We got to slalom through each of the columns in Italy. It was really cool.
All right, now let's shift gears here and talk about the Wilderness Back Trail Segway Tour, which is at Disney's. Oh, that was a pun I didn't even intend to. Which is at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort, and those occur on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday at 8:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. It's 2 hours again. This is actually slightly cheaper. It's $85 a person versus $95 for the World Showcase one. And again, there's the discounts that apply as well. And same thing, 16. If you're 16 or 17, you need approval. You got to be under 250 pounds. And of course, for Fort Wilderness, you don't need theme park admission. So
That's true.
Too bad they don't have these later in the day, Len. If they had one at 4 or 5 o'clock, it'd be great for people who arrive at Walt Disney World, in the afternoon, but don't want to burn a day at the parks.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Yeah,
They haven't.
We did actually need theme park admission though to get in.
Right, for the Epcot one.
Yeah, but the other stuff, it'd be great.
Cool. So now
probably why they do it so early is because it's less likely to be pedestrian traffic, and in the case of Fort Wilderness, we pass a couple of roads, so there's less likely to be bus traffic and just regular car traffic.
All right, well, take us through the Segway tour at Fort Wilderness, Mike.
We did the real early one. I've done it 3 times so far.
3?
Yeah, 3 times.
I think you'll like it.
I did. And
I think so.
I wanted to ask Len. Len, did they use which model Segway did they use over at the Epcot? Did they change it since?
Yeah, so they used the newer model ones, but not the ones with the big knobby tires.
Oh, so okay. So over at Fort Wilderness, they use the X2 model, which is the big all-terrain type tires.
Uh-huh.
For obvious reasons, because the terrain is a lot more rougher. I do want to try the Epcot one because I want to see what it's like on smooth surface, because you tend not to go too fast on the rough surface.
Right.
So they actually had a governor on ours that didn't let it go above 5 or 6 miles an hour, something like that.
Yeah, and I think it was 10.
Yours was 10, really?
I don't want to say it wasn't. It was definitely governed, but it wasn't terribly bad.
Yeah, cool.
Interesting.
Just like what Len says, we had to meet over near Mickey's Backyard Barbecue by the old River Country area.
Uh-huh.
And that's where our training was. We get there and you have to sign the waiver. And we watched a little video. They showed us a little safety video, and they do the same thing like Len said. They had the cones set up. And
what did they use for ramps in the training course?
Oh, there was just the terrain right there is very hilly. So
so they just did that. Goats.
Yeah, we
exactly.
did that. Yeah. So we just went up and down the hills, and they set up a nice little course so that you had flat area, curves, and the hills to get used to it. And then you had the cones. We had to go in and out.
Yeah,
we spent a good, I would say half hour to 45 minutes just in training.
Now, at the World Showcase tour, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you go through World Showcase, like Len mentioned. At Fort Wilderness, Mike, where do they take you? I mean, is it just through the woods? Is it around the campgrounds?
Yeah, you can go all around.
It's a little bit of both. They head you towards Bay Lake, and there's a little perimeter around the edge of Bay Lake that you go. And then you wind up coming around back by the general store, and then they do take you through some of the campgrounds, and they just point out the different sizes of the campgrounds, and where the tent areas are, and then where the big bus campers are. So you get an idea of what Fort Wilderness is like, and then they lead you onto a trail that heads around to the Wilderness Lodge, and you come around the back and you creep through the Wilderness Lodge.
Do you really get to go to the Wilderness Lodge?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's way longer than I thought it was.
Yeah. It once you're going, it's a good I want to say a good hour just to get to where you're going and back. It's a nice ride once you get moving.
Let me ask you this, guys. With typically with tours, you have like the steam train tour or the backstage tours that they have around the parks. Those tours are about learning different things about how Walt Disney World works. Now, with the Segway tour, is it more just the fact that you're on the Segway and that's the tour, really, or is there actually kind of for lack of a better word, an educational aspect to it?
Mine definitely had an educational aspect. So there was trivia that our guide was pointing out at every stop. So when we got to the United States Pavilion, for example, one of the things that he pointed out was that Ben Franklin originally wanted the turkey to be the mascot for the United States instead of the bald eagle because it was a more intelligent, noble bird. So he asked us if we knew what it was, and I said, yeah, it was a turkey. And that's, when he was like, okay, look, I'll just get off this thing and you can give it to him. It's pretty cool.
What about you, Mike? Was there some educational aspect in terms of history of Walt Disney World or explaining things, how it works?
As we got down towards Bay Lake, they would give you a history of how the property was actually purchased and what was what before the Seven Seas Lagoon was put in, and as you go around there. And then there's also sort of a nature education as we're driving around. He would point out certain trees and flowers.
I would totally be making stuff up as I went along.
He could have been.
Or Jungle Cruise jokes.
Exactly.
And you do get to see wildlife. We saw some deer. We seen some rabbits. So there is interesting scenery to be seen.
So now, Mike, you've done it 3 times, so I'm not even going to ask you if you like the thing because it's just silly. So, Len, you definitely would recommend the tour?
Oh, totally. I mean, anything, any of the Segway tours, I think would be a hoot.
Okay.
I'd definitely, I'd like to try another tour. I don't know if I necessarily want to do the same one again before I did all the other ones, but I would definitely give it a shot again.
Let me ask you this, Len. Would this be a tour that Dawn would enjoy, your wife? And your wife is, a little picky about some things. If it isn't deluxe, she doesn't stay there.
That's the most charitable explanation or description I've ever heard.
Well, I do have to see her from time to time.
I'm going to use that. She's picky about certain things. I like that. It's good. Thanks. You're going to edit all this out, by the way, right?
Sure.
Sure you will.
Sure.
Exactly. So, I think she definitely would. Linda loved it. I don't know if too many people. In fact, I don't know if anyone I've heard that actually completely disliked it. Maybe they didn't like parts of it. Mm-hmm. Generally, the only complaints I've heard about it is that it's still a lot of standing.
Right.
So you got to have some stamina to it.
And you do get that sensation in your arch of your foot when you're standing that long.
Yeah, I noticed that too. My feet, the bottoms of my feet got just a little bit sore, but I was trying to move them after a while.
Well, also because you're very tense while you're on the thing, so you tend to stiffen up because you're afraid you're going to fall.
Oh, I was totally relaxed, man. I was totally like a Segway operator there, man.
Huh. Very cool. Let me ask one last question for Newell here. Mike, I assume you've done it 3 times now. Would weather be an issue for you? Would you have any reservations about doing it in the summertime, like in July?
Well, the two of the 3 times I did do it was in August.
I did mine August 1st. Yeah. So
it gets hot. Especially over at Fort Wilderness, we were out in the sun most of the time. Yeah. It does get hot, which I would recommend doing the early tour, like the 8:30 if you can. Yeah,
that's why I like the 7:45. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Well, don't forget that All Star Vacation Homes is sponsoring today's episode, and you know what? What's even cooler than a Segway? Your own private movie theater.
The air conditioning.
The air conditioning. Yeah, that's also very cool. But lots of private amenities and like the movie theater, like the game room. These are just things that really they're little things that really do make your vacation unique and different from the usual stuff you've done. And again, it gives you so many great different amenities, and for a fraction of the price. It's not like this is like something that's going to fit into something on the Travel Channel's like crazy travels around the world show that they don't have. But if they did have it, that would definitely not be on there because it's very, very affordable. Great rates. Check them out. Visit them online at www.allstarvacationhomes.com. And that'll do it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the WDW website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.